Hello everyone. In this video, let us talk about radiography requirements as per ASME Section 8 Division 1 Edition 2023. Let us understand what is radiography. Radiography testing is a non-destructive inspection technique used to examine the weld quality. So it implies X-rays or gamma rays. And it detects different types of defects such as cracks, voids, inclusions, pinholes, incomplete fusion, etc. So radiography testing is done only for butt welds. Uh, it cannot be used for other welds such as groove and fillet. When radiography detects any defects, so the weld shall be completely removed um, by mechanical means or by thermal gauging, and after rewelding, the joint shall be re-examination with radiography. So below image will show you different common types of defects in the welds detected by radiography. So there are some clauses in ASME section division 1 which are very important as far as radiography is concerned. UW 11 talks about extent of radiography or and ultrasonic examination of and then UW 51 talks about full radiography examination of welded joint. This is basically procedure how it will be done. UW 52 is also talks about procedure of spot radiography. UW 2 is talks about service restrictions. Then UW3 is about weld joint category. UW12 is about joint efficiencies, and UG 116E talks about marking requirements. Okay, so now let us understand. We need to understand weld joint category and its location. It is very important as far as radiography extent is concerned. So, category A joint is is generally a longitudinal joint in the shell or the nozzle, and also the circumferential seam which is connected to the hemispherical head. And category B joint is a circumferential joint circumferential joint in the circumferential joint in the shell or nozzle. And category C is the joint which is connecting to flange to the nozzle, and category D is shell to nozzle weld. So even some welds in the shell can be category C, such as when it is connected to the flange. Okay, yeah. Then weld in shell and head is marked in blue, and welds in nozzles and communicating chambers are marked in red. This distinction is very important for identifying the radiography requirements as per ASME section at division 1. Okay. Yeah. All the butt welds in shell and heads in lethal service requires full radiography. So shell and heads means only the welds marked in blue requires full radiography as per a mandatory requirement as per UW2. We'll talk about the nozzles in the coming slide. Then all butt welds in shells and heads which exceeds 38 mm or lesser thickness prescribed by UCS 57, UNFA 57, UHA 33, UCL 35 or UCL 36. So what are these clauses? They are related to the material. So depending on the material also, different thickness it will vary. Code that limiting thickness will vary. For below I have given the table for UCS 57. Yeah, before that UCS means it is for carbon and low alloy steels, and UNF is for non-ferrous materials, UHA is for high alloy steels, that is stainless steels, duplex stainless steels or super duplex stainless steels, etc. And UCL 35 or 36 is for the cladded construction material. So now below table, if you see the common type of material we use SA 5 and 6, which will be under P number 1, group 1, 2, 3, in which case the limit thickness is 32 mm. So it means if your thickness is more than 32 mm when you are applying this material, then you have to do the mandatorily radiography. So that's what the code talks about. Okay, so then all the butt welds in shell and heads of unfired steam boilers with the design pressure over 350 kPa also requires mandatorily radiography. So now we'll talk about nozzles and communication chambers. So this is irrespective of service, any service, including lethal. So this requirement only will apply. So if the thickness is more than 29 mm or your nominal size is DN 250 or thickness exceeds the requirement of UW 11A1, which we talked in the first slide. So if any of this condition is met, then you have to do the radiography examination for nozzles also. Okay, so then next, suppose if the thickness full radiography is not required, but yet if your design is based on joint efficiency 1 or 0.9, then in that case you have to do the mandatory radiography requirement for category A and D butt welds. In that case, there are some conditions given in the code. So one is category A and B welds shall be type number 1 or type number 2 minimum, and category B or C butt welds intersecting category A weld or similar shell shall be minimum spot radiographed. So this particular clause what we discussed is related to RT2 marking, which we will discuss in the coming slides. Yeah, so then when spot radiography, full radiography is not required, then we can do a spot radiography examination. So by considering joint efficiency of 0.85 or 0.8. When spot radiography you specify for entire vessel, then category B and C butt welds and nozzles and communication chambers above 29 thick or DN 250 shall also be mandatorily spot radiographed. Okay, so then next is you can, if full radiography is not required, then you can skip the radiography. There are some conditions given. So your joint efficiency design shall be 0.7 or 0.65. And your or when the vessel is designed for external pressure only, where there is no significance of joint efficiency. Yeah, you can see the UW 12 it talks about different weld joint efficiencies to be used in the design calculations. Type number 1 or type number 2. If type number 1 means the is a weld butt joint where the full penetration is achieved. It is ensuring a full penetration weld by doing the weld from the both the sides. Sometimes welding from other side is not possible. In such case, they will do a root run with TIG welding, and then remaining will be done through SMAW or other welding technique. So if your your butt weld is type 1, then full radiography, then you can consider joint efficiency of 1. If spot radiography, you can consider joint efficiency of 0.85 and no radiography 0.7. If type 2 is talks about where the welding is done only from one side, in which case full penetration is not achieved 100%. So in such case joint efficiencies you know to consider less, that is for full radiography 0.9 and for spot radiography 0.8 and for the no radiography 0.65. Okay, so then let us discuss about RT marking, which we given in the nameplates. So depending on the radiography extent, we need to mention RT1 or RT2 or RT3 or RT4. So what is RT1? RT1 means all the butt wells in the shell and heads shall be mandatorily radiographed. So you can see, so the all the long seams are radiographed and all the circumferential seams are radiographed. So in addition to that, in the nozzles whichever exceeds DN 250 or 29 mm thickness, they also will be fully radiographed. So then it is called RT1. And RT2 is talks about where you do the full radiography for the longitudinal joints, which are critical joints, and for the spot radiography for the seams which intersect with category B or C wells which intersect with longitudinal seams. So why it is like this is because your longitudinal seam is always longitudinal joint efficiency determine your thickness, whereas your spot radiography will not affect that much, because as you know, stresses in circumferential stresses will be more, that you can see PD by 2T. If you see the thin pressure vessel theory, PD by 2T is the circumferential stress and PD by 4T is for the longitudinal stress. So your circumferential, so that's why your longitudinal joint is always critical. So that's why to save the cost, you can do the full radiography for the longitudinal joints, and code says if you do that, you have to do a spot radiography for the minimum for category B or C wells. You can also do a full radiography, then it becomes RT1. So that is the difference between RT1 and RT2. So RT3 is when it complete vessel satisfies the requirement of spot radiography examination requirement. You can see all the longitudinal joints and circumferential joints are spot radiographed. And if any of your radiography extent you provided do not fall under any of this RT1 or RT2 or RT3, then there is no need of then it will fall into RT4. Then if no radiography required, then no marking, this marking will apply, so it will be simply blank. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to this.